So it looks like right now both Democrats and Republicans are having a fun time redrawing maps. Where's Bob Ross when you need him? So what is happening in this country right now with this whole redistricting war is something that has never really happened in the United States before. Instead of politicians going door to door and telling people why you need to vote for them, we have politicians redrawing maps so then they get a guaranteed victory. Now, gerrymandering has been going on for years, maybe even decades, but the most interesting thing that happens when it comes to gerrymandering is that this affects both Democrats and Republicans. Both Democratic states and Republican states have redrawn maps or made weird, wild-looking counties to get ahead. But now, things are starting to heat up a little bit because of the recent Supreme Court ruling. As in a 6-3 ruling, the Supreme Court claimed that Louisiana had to redraw its maps. The majority on the court, which was mostly the conservatives, claimed that a district that Louisiana created was an unconstitutional racial gerrymander, as the district was created and had mostly black people in it. And this started an absolute firestorm with the minority opinion, which was most of the liberals, claiming that this decision hurts the Voting Rights Act, and the majority claiming that they are following the Constitution along with following the Voting Rights Act, so everything is going absolutely crazy. The minority opinion is pointing to Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, which got rid of poll taxes, it also got rid of literacy tests to vote, and it also got rid of other things that stopped people from being able to vote. It's subsection B that the minority is coming out and claiming is going to be destroyed because of this recent ruling. As the Supreme Court ruled in 1980 that the statute required proof of actual racial discrimination tinged the process in order to require changes to voting maps and election practices. This made it harder to bring cases to the Supreme Court claiming that different districts were racist. And this made cases of racism in maps harder to pursue because people aren't just going to come out and say, okay, we made this map, it's not racist at all because we're not racist, when actually they are, or the maps were racist. So lawmakers passed an amendment creating an effects test, allowing remedies for maps that had the effect of diluting minority voting power. Meaning that if states were trying to dilute different minority votes, then the map could be redrawn. On the other side, the majority is claiming that this part of the Voting Rights Act was a temporary tool that is becoming out of date. And they are saying that if you can't prove that the map maker was racist, and if you can't prove that politics had absolutely nothing to do with the map being created, then the Supreme Court has no reason to block different state maps. And this is why the court claimed that the new Louisiana district was wrong and it was unconstitutional because it was entirely based on race. The majority wants the country to be colorblind. They want them to base their maps on different populations, not about the skin color of the person in that state. So does this mean that Black Americans are going to lose representation in the South? Well, according to the minority, yes, this will hurt Black Americans and it will make them lose the representation that they need. For the majority, however, Black Americans aren't losing any representation because they are following the 14th Amendment, which makes it so every single citizen in the United States, whether Black, white, brown, Latino, gets a right to vote. Along with that, they are also claiming that they are following Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act by not blocking different people from voting. And this caused an avalanche to happen, as right after this situation happened, Florida came out and said, well, we have racist districts that we want to change as well. Along with that, Tennessee state government just came out and voted for a new map that would eliminate the only Democratic and Black district in that state. The state of Tennessee, which is mostly Republican, is arguing that they are following the Supreme Court ruling and getting rid of this district because it was unconstitutional. It's an unconstitutional race gerrymander. While the other side is claiming that this is ushering in a new Jim Crow and will cause a lot of problems in the South. I mean, just look at the videos and also the pictures of Tennessee voting for this new map. We have state senators going in with MAGA flags as capes. Along with that, we have protesters chanting nonstop, trying to get this bill to be stopped, along with people burning paper replicas of the Confederate flag. And this is what it sounded like when Tennessee actually passed that new map.
Ayes 25, nays 5.
House Bill 7003, having received a constitutional majority, I declare it passed. Next motion to reconsider is hereby tabled. Next order, Mr. Clerk. Senator Johnson, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I move for the immediate introductions, or move for suspension of the rules for the immediate introduction and consideration of House Joint Resolution 7022, which calls for the adjournment of special session.
The motion is...
Now, it might be hard to hear, but there are definitely people in the background screaming because they don't want this bill to be passed, while the senators are on the floor happy about it, they're cheering it on, and they're voting for it to be passed. Then we also had this picture that came out and is taking over social media by storm. This is Justin Pearson, who is a Tennessee state representative, and this police officer is blocking him from going into the chamber. Now, how could the police officer do this? Well, apparently, that's not true. This officer was blocking the door to the Senate committee room where state senators and a committee were meeting, and Pearson is not a state senator or a part of the committee, so the officer has the right to block him from going into that chamber and causing a bunch of chaos. But to others, however, this picture symbolizes the new KKK. Wait, hold on. But to others, this picture symbolizes defiance. The police officer is like a KKK member blocking this innocent black man from going into the chamber where he's supposed to go into, even though he's not supposed to go in there. The police officer is just trying to do his job. So here's the interesting thing about the district that was just eliminated by this new map. The person that was voted to represent that district was not an African American man. It was not a black woman. It was a white guy named Steve Cohen. In fact, the person that has ran against Steve Cohen multiple times for that district seat is an African-American conservative woman named Charlotte Bergman. Wouldn't it make more sense for a black district that wants black representation to vote for a black woman even if she was a Democrat or a Republican? And this point came up on CNN, and the response from the Democratic side was absolutely hilarious. Take a look at this.
The woman now who is likely going to win the 9th district in Tennessee is a black Republican woman as a result of this redistricting effort. It's likely going to be a black Republican woman who beats that old white man.
Could I make this very simple
But that's
point?
racist?
We're going to come back.
It actually is.
We're going to take a quick break, and then Tesla and Congressman, I'm going to have you both respond. We'll be right back.
It honestly doesn't make sense to me. Shouldn't Democrats be happy that there's a successful black woman that is finally taking that seat and giving the people the representation that they actually deserve? No, it's not okay because it isn't about representation, it's about ideology. So here's the thing. I don't like it that there are such things as black districts or white districts or even Latino districts or any other color of district you want. I want there to be districts that represent all people no matter what their color is. And I believe this is why the Supreme Court has come out and got rid of these different black districts, because what if a racist state came out and said, okay, we're going to make white districts. Okay, we're going to make Latino districts. Then we have a situation where we are being segregated by race. Instead, we should have people vote for who they think will best represent them, no matter who they are or what they look like. And all this map drawing is actually legal because Tennessee and other states are actually following their state's constitution and using this recent ruling to help justify drawing these different maps. Now, I know you're thinking, what about Virginia? What happened in Virginia? What's going on there? How was it that their map was blocked, but other maps were just let through? Well, I don't do this often, but you're going to have to wait for part 2 to figure out what actually happened in Virginia. And with that, I just want to thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Dockery Docket. And until next time, like my mom always says, be good, be kind, be loving, goodbye.